Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now we have the news in details. The November 20 elections to the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly are just 6 days away now. Political parties and candidates have only 4 days at hand for election campaigning. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has drawn the attention of the concerned ones yet again to create enabling environment where any political party or candidate could run election campaign unobstructed. In a press statement issued by the Commission on Sunday after the news of disrupting election campaign following the dispute ensued among the candidates and vandalizing vehicles in Chitwan and some other districts began to do rounds in various media as well as social media and said that its attention has been drawn towards the issue. The local administrations have also been asked not to allow any election campaign in public places without obtaining permission from them. The necessary election materials including ballot papers and ballot boxes meanwhile have reached all the 77 districts along with the ballot papers for the upcoming elections. According to the Commission, election officers will be able to reach all the polling stations by November the 17th, following which necessary ballot papers and ballot boxes will be delivered to the respective polling stations. People residing in the border areas of Dang has to pass an arduous journey of 3 days just to go and cast their ballots. This is due to lack of election center nearby the Bhaua border in Rajpur Rural Municipality, Ward number 7. Still, those physically deprived, be it elderly people and neonate mothers, cannot exercise their franchise due as it takes a long day to reach the center. The situation is such that at least one of the members in the house must remain at home while other members reach Sitta to cast the votes. Locals say every time they are given assurance of fixing election centers nearby, but in each elections, many voters in the village are deprived of exercising their rights. There are some 1,300 voters in Rajpur Rural Municipality, Ward number 7. Dang district has 465 voting centers. 4 centers were added for this election, but there is none along the border areas. The District Administration Office Persa has prohibited use of alcohol and alcoholic beverages beginning today. In view of the elections to the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly, the administration put a complete ban on the use and sale of alcoholic beverages. The administration issuing a notice says sale and transport of those substances will be barred from midnight today until the elections are over. The District Security Committee made the decision as per the directives of the Home Ministry. With this update, time to go for a short break, but still to come we have. Welcome back now to more updates. The Himalayan district of Dolpa has become a choice for domestic travelers with its majestic and scenic beauty. A blue diamond, as the tag carries, Dolpa boasts itself with a beautiful lay of Se Fokshundo, famous Tripura Sundari Temple, Se Gumba, the Dho Valley, among other distinguished places to visit. A recent data shows some 2,500 tourists visited the Se Fokshundo Lake, the deepest lake in Nepal, in the past 3 months alone. However, there are some infrastructural constraints that makes travel difficult, such as frequent obstruction of roads along the very corridor during the rainfall. One can easily reach Dunai, the district headquarters of Dolpa, by motorbike, which has increased the number of tourists reaching the district. Now to international updates. US President Joe Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are due to meet in Bali. The leaders are in Indonesia for the G20 meeting, which starts on Tuesday. It comes at a time when relations between the two superpowers have soured. Biden says the two leaders will lay out what each of their red lines are over. The meeting will be their first in-person encounter since Biden took office in 2020. Ukrainian President Zelensky says that investigators have uncovered more than 400 war crimes in areas of Kherson abandoned by Russian forces as they retreated. Zelensky said the bodies of civilians and soldiers had been found. Moscow denies its troops intentionally target civilians. Meanwhile, Ukrainian authorities imposed an overnight curfew and restricted travel in and out of Kherson. A UN commission last month said that war crimes had been committed in Ukraine and that the Russian coalition forces were responsible for the vast majority of the human rights violations at the start of the invasion. More updates line up on the other side, but before that, let's have what we have coming up next. Welcome back. Now to more updates. Israel's President Isaac Herzog asked the country's former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government on Sunday. Netanyahu and his alliance of far-right parties own a decisive majority of seats in parliamentary elections, and he now has 28 days to form a coalition government with the possibility of a 2-week extension. If Netanyahu can reach a coalition agreement by the deadline, he will take the office as the country's Prime Minister for a third time. Netanyahu had served several years as Prime Minister before losing the office in 2021. The first heavy snowfall of the winter has hit several provinces in northern China, disrupting road, rail and air traffic in some areas throughout the weekend. The Meteorological Department in northeast China's Heilongjiang province issued an alert for sleet and snow on Saturday, with cities such as Mundanjiang and Sisi facing the rail disruptions and local authorities scrambling the teams to clear snow off the line. Local authorities activated emergency traffic control response measures and arranged for police to direct traffic safety on snow and ice-covered streets, while nearly 100 snow clearers were deployed to keep the roads clear. Two more updates, but before that, let's have the highlights first. New Zealand scientists are working on ways to prevent cows and other farm animals from burping too much in a bid to reduce harmful methane gas. The country is planning to reduce methane emissions from farm animals up to 47% by 2050. Scientists are working on how to stop cows and other farm animals from belching out so much methane, a gas which doesn't last as long as carbon dioxide in atmosphere, but is 25 times more potent when it comes to global warming. Because cows can't readily digest the grass they eat, they ferment it first in multiple stomach compartments, a rumen, a process which releases huge amounts of gas. In New Zealand, the research has taken a new urgency. About half of the nation's greenhouse gas emissions come from farms. New Zealand's 5 million people are outnumbered by 26 million sheep and 10 million cattle. Now to sports. Nepal is facing United Arab Emirates UAE in the first match of the 3-match bilateral one-day international ODI series. The Nepali side, winning the toss, chose to bowl first. The match underway at TU Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. The UAE has so far scored 228 runs in 46.5 overs with a loss of 6 wickets. Rohit Paudil, who had been named as the new captain of the national cricket team, is leading the 16-member squad against the UAE. The second match has been slated for November the 16th, while the third match under the ODI series will be played on November the 18th. With this update, we come to the end of this English News Bulletin, but before we say goodbye, let's have a quick reminder of the major stories. Election-related activities reach a peak with 6 days left for polling day. Election Commission urges to create enabling environment for unobstructed election campaign. Biden and Xi due to meet in Bali on the sidelines of the G20 summit need to be first in-person encounter since Biden took office. Zelensky says Russia guilty of war crimes in Kherson, as investigators have uncovered over 400 war crimes since retaking Kherson. And Nepal facing the UAE in the first match of the 3-match bilateral ODI series, new captain Rohit Paudil leading the Nepali side. That's all we have in this edition of English News Bulletin. We'll see you again with next round of English Bulletin at 6 in the evening. Till then, have a great time ahead and stay tuned with us. Namaste.